All right, so today we're really diving deep with this one, huh? This Tattva Bodha of Shankaracharya,
Yeah.
desire and liberation. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something we've all thought about, right? Like wanting more.
Oh, absolutely.
It's like universal, isn't it?
It is. And you know what's so interesting is that the text right away says that's in humans and animals.
Right.
That desire is natural. Like we need food, we need water, we want to be comfortable.
It keeps us going.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we're not just talking about like basic survival, are we? I feel like humans take desire to a whole other level.
Oh, for sure.
Because we can think about it and make choices.
Absolutely. We analyze, we think about what we're going to do.
Right.
We have fantasies, I think, because we can think and discriminate. Our desires are like turbocharged.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Totally. But okay, so here's where I get a little tripped up.
Mm-hmm.
The text also says that trying to improve ourselves and wanting more can't be fulfilled by our actions. Like it's just not possible. So all this stuff we do to try to be perfect, it's pointless?
It's not pointless, but maybe the text is saying we're going about it the wrong way.
Okay.
So imagine you have 1 rupee. Getting 1,000,000 rupees would be like, whoa.
Huge.
Right. But are you really in a different situation? You still only have a certain amount of money.
You do. It's limited.
And a limited view.
Yeah, that's a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
So even if we get all the stuff we want, we're still limited by like how we see things. Like it's not really about the amount, but about how we see value.
Yeah, and a lot of times when we're always wanting more and more, it trips us up because we're just focused on the outside stuff.
Yeah.
And we forget to look inside.
Okay, so if what we do isn't the answer, then what is? How do we stop always wanting more?
Okay, well, this is where the text says something really different. The accomplishment of the already accomplished.
Okay.
So it's saying that we don't need to get to perfection to be complete. We just need to realize it.
Okay.
We already have it.
We already have it.
Yeah.
So it's like we have the winning lottery ticket.
Yes.
But we're looking everywhere else for it.
Right. Exactly. And the text gives an example called the 10th man. So 10 boys are crossing a river, and when they get to the other side, the leader counts, and he only counts 9.
Oh, no.
They freak out. They think someone drowned, but he forgot to count himself.
Oh.
You see.
Okay, I get it. That's a really good example. So we're so focused on what we think is missing that we don't even see what's already there. So if this completeness is right here in front of us, what's stopping us from seeing it?
What the text calls ajnana.
Which is?
Ignorance. It's like a veil that's covering up our true nature.
Okay, so how do we get rid of this veil? Like, how can we see what we've been blind to?
That's where prama comes in.
What's that?
True knowledge. And there's 2 types.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so what are they?
Direct and indirect knowledge.
So direct knowledge is like if I'm looking at a pot, I see it right there with my own eyes. Indirect knowledge is like if you describe a pot to me.
That's right.
It could be anything.
Exactly. And even though indirect knowledge is good, the text says that real liberation is from directly knowing the self. And this is where Vedanta comes in.
So that's knowledge of the self.
Exactly.
And that's why having a teacher or a guru is so important, right?
Okay.
To help us see that.
Exactly. The guru is like a guide that helps us see through all of the ignorance. Think of it like this. Ru is ignorance. Gu takes it away.
So it's not about blindly following the guru. It's about learning to see for ourselves.
Exactly.
To see our true nature.
Yes. And to understand the connection between our individual self, the jiva, and the cosmic self, or the isvara.
So are the jiva and the isvara separate?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? One that people have been asking for, like, ever.
Right.
But what's so cool is that the text says there's no difference between them.
Right.
Just like there's no difference between a wave and the ocean.
But we definitely feel separate, right? Like we're just trying to make it in our own little worlds.
Yeah.
What makes us feel so separate then?
The text says it's Maya, which is like this force that makes the world seem real, even though Brahman never changes.
So Maya is like the ultimate illusionist.
Yeah.
It's tricking us into thinking this is all real.
Kind of, yeah. The text uses a good example of a spider making a web out of its own spit.
Okay.
So the web and what it's made of both come from the spider. Just like the universe and everything in it is created by Isvara through Maya.
So we're so busy looking at the web that we forget where it came from.
Exactly. We get so caught up in everything that we forget that we're a part of something much bigger.
Wow. This is a lot. But if we're already complete, if liberation is realizing that, then how do we actually do that?
The text talks about the Satana Chatusthaya.
The what?
It's the fourfold path.
Mm.
And it starts with Viveka, which means being able to tell the difference between what lasts and what doesn't.
So seeing through Maya's illusion.
You got it.
So it's about being able to see what's really important and what doesn't really matter.
And when we can do that, it leads to vairagya,
What's that?
dispassion, not being attached to what happens as a result of what we do.
All right, because if we're always trying to feel good and avoid feeling bad, we'll never be able to experience our true self.
You got it. It's about shifting from what's temporary to what lasts, from the outside to the inside. And that leads to the next two parts of the fourfold path, which are really important, Shatka Sampati and Mumukshitvam. But we can talk about those more in the next part.
This is a lot to process already. This text is blowing my mind about desire and liberation. It's not about getting more. It's about realizing what we already have. We need to change how we see things.
Absolutely.
And that changes everything.
For sure. And that's what we're going to see in the next part, how a change in how we see things changes our whole lives and how we see the world around us.
I can't wait. This is why we do these deep dives. I love this stuff. I'm ready for part 2.
It's like we're trying to put together one of those jigsaw puzzles, but we're so busy looking for the missing pieces that we don't realize the picture is already there.
Oh, I like that. So then why do we feel so incomplete if we already have it? Why do we always want more?
That's where this idea of the koshas comes in.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the 5 layers.
Yeah, the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manamaya, Vijnanamaya, and Anandamaya koshas. They're like the physical us, the energy, our mind, intellect, and then like pure bliss.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. Think of them like clothes.
Okay.
So you have your physical body, the energy that makes you move, your thoughts and feelings, your intellect, and then that like pure bliss underneath it all.
So we think the clothes are the person.
Exactly.
We're so busy looking at the clothes that we forget there's someone wearing them.
Exactly. We get so attached to those layers, you know?
And those are always changing, right?
Yeah, they're temporary.
Yeah.
But we think that's who we are.
And that's why we always feel like something's missing.
Exactly.
Okay. But if those layers are always changing, what's the thing that's experiencing them? What stays the same?
The Atman.
The true self.
Yep. The one that sees it all, but nothing sticks to it. It's just pure awareness.
Always there.
Always there.
So let me see if I get this. We have the Atman, which is like pure awareness. And then there's the 5 koshas, those layers that cover it up. And Maya makes us think that all that stuff is real and permanent.
You got it. And liberation is about realizing who you really are. That Atman.
Not being limited by those 5 layers.
Exactly.
So we're not trying to escape or pretend those experiences aren't real. We just need to remember who we are.
Exactly. Like the wave in the ocean.
Oh, yeah. That again.
The wave might look separate,
Uh-huh.
but it's still the ocean.
So how do we actually remember? Is it enough to just get it?
That's a good question. The text says it's not just about knowing it in your head. It's about really experiencing it.
Okay, so there's 2 types of knowledge. Pratyaksha, which is direct, and paroksha, which is indirect.
Exactly.
So it's like knowing about honey versus actually tasting it.
Exactly. And the text says that Vedanta, that's the knowledge of the self, is direct knowledge.
You have to experience it
And that's where a guru comes in.
to show us the way.
Exactly, to give us the tools.
But we're the ones who have to walk the path.
Exactly.
So how do we start walking?
The text talks about self-inquiry, Tattva Viveka,
Which is
questioning everything.
everything.
Yeah, like, why do I believe what I believe? What if it's not true?
So like being curious and not just accepting things how they seem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Learning to see the difference between what's real and what's not, what lasts and what fades away.
And that leads to vairagya,
Right. Not being attached.
to the good and the bad.
Because if we're always chasing after pleasure and running away from pain, we'll miss what's really true.
Oh, yeah. Shatka Sampati and Mumukshitvam.
You're remember?
Those are important for this too, right?
Oh, yeah. Those are key.
Okay, so tell me about them. How do they help us wake up?
Shatka Sampati is like 6 qualities that are super important for spiritual growth.
Okay, what are they?
Sakupen, which is about controlling your mind. Dhamma, controlling your senses. Uparama, sticking to your dharma tatiksha, dealing with tough stuff without losing it. Shraddha, having faith. And samadhana, being focused.
Whoa, that's a lot.
It's like inner strength training. It's not about suppressing your thoughts or feelings, but being able to direct them.
Like being the boss of your own mind.
Exactly. So you can look inside.
What about Mumukshitvam?
That's like the deep desire for liberation. It's not just wanting it. It's like this burning need to be free.
But can you make yourself wanted that much?
The text says it happens naturally when you start to see through the illusions and realize how limited you are now. As you understand more, your desire for liberation grows.
The more you see how big the ocean is, the less you want to be a little wave.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as you practice Shatka Sampati, calming the mind, getting stronger in your faith, that desire for liberation just gets stronger.
So it's like a cycle. The more you learn, the more you want it, and the more you practice these qualities, the closer you get to waking up.
Exactly. And that realization changes everything about how we live in the world and how we treat each other.
Okay, that's what I want to hear about.
Hmm.
How does realizing who we really are change how we live our lives?
It's a total game changer. Once you see how everything is connected,
Yeah.
how the self and Brahman are one, everything changes.
So it's not about running away from the world. It's about being in it in a different way.
Yeah, with more understanding, more compassion.
Because we're all connected.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The separation is an illusion.
But if that's true, then who's really doing anything? What about personal responsibility?
Those are the big questions, right?
Yeah.
The text wants us to really wrestle with those questions.
So not just look for easy answers.
To go deeper into the mystery of how we can be individuals and part of one consciousness at the same time.
Mind-blowing. This is why I love this stuff.
Yeah.
It's about really understanding who we are, why we're here, and how we fit into it all.
And once we start to see ourselves in everyone, in everything we do changes.
So it's not just about our own liberation, it's about waking up together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it all. It's about realizing that our own awakening is connected to the well-being of everyone.
Wow. This is a lot to take in. I feel like I'm seeing things in a whole new light.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, is there anything else you want to leave us with?
The biggest takeaway is that we can all experience this. It's not about becoming someone else, it's about remembering who we already are.
And that truth, like the text says, is Pat Tivam Asi.
That thou art.
We are all part of the divine, and we
Sure.
can all experience that limitless freedom and joy.
And when we do that, we can change our lives and the world around us. We can make it a more loving, compassionate, and awakened place.
This deep dive has given us so much to think about. Thank you so much for taking this journey with me.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all our listeners, keep searching, keep asking those big questions, and keep discovering the truth of who you are. We'll see you next time.
So we're talking about Jivan Muktas, those folks who've reached liberation but are still here living in the world. It's kind of wild when you think about it.
It is, isn't it?
You'd expect them to be off meditating in a cave somewhere, not dealing with traffic and grocery shopping.
Yeah, a lot of people think that. But the text says that's not really how it works.
It says Jivan Muktas, they're free from the cycle of birth and death, but they still live their lives. They don't just hide away from the world.
So they're not just looking for a mountaintop to escape to.
Nope. They're still here with us.
So what are they doing then? What makes them get out of bed in the morning if they're not driven by karma anymore?
Think of it like this. Imagine a dancer who's totally mastered their art,
Okay.
They move so gracefully and effortlessly. It's not like they're following steps anymore. It's like the dance is flowing through them.
I love that.
That's how the text describes the Jivan Mukta's actions. It's like a spontaneous expression of their enlightenment, not coming from their ego or desires, but from this deep understanding of how everything is connected.
So it's not about what they're doing, it's about the energy behind it, the intention.
Exactly. It's like a wave that's finally realized it's part of the ocean.
Okay.
It's still moving and flowing, but it's not afraid of being separate anymore. It doesn't need to reach some far-off shore.
I think I'm starting to get it. But hold on. If they're free from karma, why do they still go through ups and downs? The text says even a Jivan Mukta can feel pain, sadness, even die.
That's where it gets really interesting. Remember, they might be free from the results of their actions, but they still have a physical body.
Oh, right.
They still experience the world through their senses. They feel things just like we do.
So they're not immune to life's challenges.
Not at all. The difference is how they relate to those experiences.
How so?
They don't try to deny what they're feeling or push it down. They see it all with a sense of detachment. They know those feelings will pass. They're not their true self.
So like watching a movie. They can get caught up in the story and feel the emotions, but they know it's not real.
Exactly. They can feel joy, sorrow, pain, pleasure, but those emotions don't control them.
That sounds freeing, to experience it all without letting it drag you down.
It is. It's about finding that inner peace.
But if their actions don't have karmic consequences, do they even matter? Do they have any effect on the world?
That's a great question. And the text says that even though a Jivan Mukta's actions aren't bound by karma, they can still have a huge impact. Their very presence can inspire others to wake up.
So it's like their enlightenment becomes a gift.
Exactly. Think of a light bulb in a dark room.
Okay.
It doesn't have to try to get rid of the darkness. It just shines and the darkness disappears. Just like that, Jivanmukta's actions naturally bring compassion, wisdom, and love into the world.
Wow. That's a beautiful way to think about it. That achieving liberation isn't just for us, it's about helping everyone wake up.
That's what's so amazing about this text. It challenges us to see liberation in a bigger way, where individual awakening and the well-being of everyone are connected.
This has been incredible. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of desire, liberation, the self, everything. Before we finish up, any final thoughts?
The most important thing to remember is that liberation is possible for everyone. It's not about becoming someone new, it's about discovering who you already are.
And that truth is Tattvam Esi.
That thou art.
We are all expressions of the divine, and we all have that boundless freedom and joy inside us.
We do. And when we realize that we can change our lives and make the world a better place.
This deep dive has given us so much to think about. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery.
It's been a pleasure exploring this with you.
And to everyone listening, keep seeking, keep asking those big questions, and keep discovering the truth of who you are. We'll see you next time.